Hey guys, today I'll be showing you another restoration project I've been working on, and this video is also for Gary, who owns this Minimoog. So anyways guys, this is probably one of the most unique Minimoogs out there now. It was a dog when I got it in. I mean, it was really bad shape. It was so bad that some of the pots wouldn't even move. It had seized up pots. I had to cut the knobs off with the rotary tool because there's so much rust in the set screws that my Allen wrench wouldn't even turn the set screws. It would just round off in the housing and just turn to powder, basically, from all the rust. So new knobs. The chassis, look, it had the mange because it had set in the ATA case and the foam had deteriorated and ate the stain off the wood. So I restained it, polyurethaned it, did something a little different on this one. I know some of you might be seeing this shine and going, oh man, that's not original. That's fine. I was going for something a little different on this particular Minimoog because it is so unique. I want to do something completely different than what I normally do here. So it had a broken hammer in the keyboard, which I've never seen before ever. It didn't have a broken key stop. Now the key stop, when it breaks, the keys lift, but this was actually the hammer itself that connects to the contact actuator. It had actually broke. I got a whole video on print read keyboards for anybody that might not know what I'm talking about, but the hammer was actually broke. So inspect the hammer. You had another two hammers about to break, so I went on to replace the other two, inspected all the other hammers, and got everything like it needed to be. But as you can see, this chassis, I want to do something special particular for this unit because this era of Minimoog, guys, there's an era of Moog when they use this really nasty, just flat brown stain. They started using it like 1975 up to like 1980, probably 81, I'm guessing. And it's just flat brown. I'm sure you guys have seen it out there on some of the Minimoogs. And I've heard it referred to as the honey glazed stain because it's just so flat. You don't see any of the wood grain. You don't see any of the nice texture in the wood. And that's what this one had. So I decided to go a little different, and that's why I really chose to do something completely different than it was originally. Now this is the original chassis, and you can see all the nice wood grain you can see now inside this chassis that was covered up by that brown stain, just the flat brown stain. And you can see how nice that looks. And of course I don't have the best lighting in here, but you can see how nice that looks there. I'll just kind of walk you around the chassis here just to show you how it looks. Also, while I'm over here, I've replaced your pitch and mod wheels with new old stock wheels, and because those were pretty bad. Those were locked up as well. Had to clean the pots real good, but you can kind of see how this looks. Beautiful wood grain. Something else I did was missing the under chassis as well, so I actually cut a piece of board, decided to go in and stain the top side of it just to give it more detailing, and on the underside I actually painted it flat black with some industrial grade paint, and I actually brushed it on, so it's pretty thick, so you won't have to worry about rubbing it off. So I did all that. Now Gary actually made the standoff, guys, and fantastic job, Gary. Great standoff design there. He actually welded the hinge to the prop. It's actually called a prop, not a standoff, but a prop. And so it's not even riveted like what you'd see normally. Really stout. I did have to cut off maybe about ½ inch, Gary, just to give it some clearance, but did that and it works great. Something else I did too, and I have to thank Accel Graphics for their time on this, is this one was actually missing all the labeling for the jacks. And so I actually had one of these made by Accel Graphics, which is a neighboring shop next to me. It's a print shop. And they made a whole new label for it. Now this is actually a Buffalo Minimoog, even though it says Williamsville. I had a Williamsville Minimoog that we used as a sample and just left at Williamsville. Now this particular unit didn't have any serial numbers. There's no serial numbers in it whatsoever. And at this point in Moog's history is they quit writing on the boards. For instance, I got a 73 Minimoog over here, which I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when you open it up, you'll actually see on the boards the serial number. So you can actually see how they wrote on the boards what the serial number is of the chassis or of the board, and you can kind of get an idea of the era of production dates. This one didn't have any of that. By this time they're using QA stamps on everything. So, you know, instead of having like a signature with a board number or serial number of the chassis, they would just put like QA 102 stamp. And so it kind of takes away some of that, you know, some of that classic things I love about early Minimoogs. But since you didn't have any serial numbers, I didn't want to leave a serial number area blank. So I decided to make this thing a Synthpro Special 001. And this is the first one to ever have this label, so there you go. You've got the first custom stuff. And but you know, it just turned out really beautiful. I mean, I'm really proud. I've been joking with Gary, guys, that I don't really want to send this thing back home because it's really a really beautiful Minimoog. And also, while I'm back here, let me explain something to you guys too. I know some of you may not know if you have a version 3 oscillator board or version 2. Version 3 being the one that uses the UA726 thermally regulated transistor pair for the exponential current converter. This one has 3 holes, or actually 4 holes per oscillator. And this is how you can tell if you got the version 3 or version 2 oscillator board most of the time. This would be factory. This is actually has different adjustments compared to what you have on the version 2 oscillator board. On the version 2 you wouldn't have any of these. You wouldn't have these center ones, but you'd have these two here for range and scale adjustments. And so that's the way you can just tell just by looking at your Minimoog kind of what era, or if it's had the update, because these were actually aftermarket updates you could buy as well. You can drill out your holes and put the garments in there, and it would be, you know, it would take care of the problem with the update. But yeah, anyways, Gary, it's just a beautiful Minimoog. The interface was actually still in really good shape, surprisingly. There's no warped interface like I see commonly with these. Very, very clean. One thing I am going to inspect for you, Gary, before I send it out, and I didn't realize this till I got into the video, is that you got a problem with your range 1 switch. It's just noisy at the footage 2. Probably just a dirty contact. If it's not a dirty contact, it could just be a bad contact wafer, which I got some spare, so I will change that out if I need to. But I'm just going to bring that up before I demo it, because I'll show you what it's actually doing. But anyways, let me put the camera on this tripod here, and I'll show you how this thing sounds. So like I say, I've also done some modifications. This one I haven't talked to you about, Gary. There's some things I added or changed out. I actually downgraded this Minimoog, even though it's got the version 3 oscillator board, which is a little bit more stable in my opinion. It's a better foundation if you're really going to be using this thing in the studio, because it holds its tuning a heck of a lot better than the version 2. But what I did is I took some of your audio lines and I actually reverted them to what you find in the 71, 72 Minimoog. So this thing's got that nice growly distortion tone in it now that you didn't have originally. And it really makes this thing sound more vintage than what it did when it came off the assembly line. So as you can hear, I'll just give you an example right quick. So you can hear it's really growly. It's got that nice tone to it now. And of course I got a slow attack on that. We'll go here. I'll go through the oscillators for you too, but let me tune up the oscillators right quick. So you can hear it sounds really good. I'll go through each oscillator right quick, just show you how the oscillators work. We'll open up the filter, get this thing to sustain for me here a little bit. And so I'll show you too that your octave range, I'll show you what's going on with your octave range. Like I say, I'll fix this before it goes out. It's just something I noticed, and it's Saturday today, so I'll probably get into this thing Monday. But just show you how this thing, what's going on here. Here just a little moment where it's got a high frequency because the contacts aren't mating exactly like they should. But as sometimes a little noisy on the other settings too. It seems like it's just a dirty contact problem because all the other octaves work great, and they're all based off the same circuit, and I've replaced the buffering circuits, so they're all new. But anyways, I'll show you the wave shapes work. Of course, you can see how clean your volume knobs are. Oscillator 2. Same thing there. So it's Oscillator 2, Oscillator 3. As you can hear, everything's working great as far as your oscillators, with the exception of the range switch for oscillator 1, which, like I say, I'll fix that. Your noise source works. Volume works for your noise source. So that's all working, as well as your filter works great. So we'll set it up to self-oscillate and track the keyboard. So we'll go here. That's just your filter. We'll add the harmonics to it. That's your envelope generator for your filter. So go back here, make your filter self-oscillate. I'll show you the envelope generator for your filter. So right here, this is your decay. There's your attack. And here's your sustain. So anyways, you can hear your filters working, and that's your envelope generator for your filter. Now we'll go to the envelope generator for your loudness contour. So go here with a, we'll open that filter up too so you can hear just the raw signal. So now you got it set all the way at 0. You can hear how that's working, as well as your attack. then your sustain level works. As you can see, that's all working. And so all that section there is working. Your modulation works for your filter, or modulation works in general. I'll show you how that works. So we'll set up a sound here. Just how great that thing sounds now. It's got that really rich sound. And of course that's still using the Oscillator 3 as a frequency source, still an audio frequency range. We can slow that down, turn off tracking, and then you can actually use that as a just a normal LFO. As you can hear, that's all. That's working with your filter. You can also make that work with your oscillators as well. So we'll go. What you're just hearing there, that little click, that's because I still have the oscillator engaged in the audio path. So you can hear even when that's a slow oscillator. Cut that off and then. You can hear all that's working great. I did the dead zone mod as well to your pitch wheel, so that's got a true dead center, as you'll hear. Let's just go to one oscillator here. You can hear I can wiggle it within a detent, and there is no change in frequency. As you can hear, Vlad works great. Something else I should mention too, the modulation mixer noise source works. We'll engage that to the oscillators. great as well. Your actual noise source, as I mentioned, works. We'll combine that with some oscillators. That's working great as well. Everything's working fantastic except for the range switch, which, like I said, I'll take care of that for you. But anyways, Gary, I just want to take a minute and thank you again for letting me restore this thing for you. I know it's taken some time, and but I really do appreciate it. And guys watching, I really do appreciate all you guys that watch my videos. I appreciate the support. Believe me, I couldn't do this kind of business without all of you guys out there that watch and you know, or send me your gear sometimes. So fantastic. But thanks again, guys, and we'll have more updates soon for more projects. Take care.